This is the booth. We are cleared to go live. Send the signal to the studio and go live.
List with Elizabeth show, ready to go live in 3, 2.
When you think selling and buying a home,
When I think real estate, I think List with Elizabeth.
Elizabeth Kline.
And here is the host of the List with Elizabeth show, Elizabeth Kline.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us yet again for another episode of the List with Elizabeth show. I am, surprisingly, Elizabeth Kline. I am a full-time real estate agent in Northern Virginia, helping buyers buy and sellers sell residential property. Thank you. Want to give a big shout out today, actually, to my producer and husband who works behind the scenes. He does such a great job on the show. And for being a great partner in all this. So today we are going to have a super fun time looking at some before and after shots of houses that have been staged. I have a phenomenal guest, my stager, Susan Bourassa. She is a fantastic asset for me and my team as far as getting our listings up and ready to go to the market. So before we jump into the show, I do just want to make sure everyone out there who's enjoying the show, if you could please subscribe, that will help other people find the show. We would like to get the word out to as many people as possible about the show. I'm happy to take suggestions from anyone out there. If there's a topic you'd like to see covered that we're not covering, please reach out. Any comments, throw them down. I'm happy to get back to you. And feel free to always call me at 703-829-LIST. Happy to connect and help you with whatever your real estate needs may be. So let's get into our show today. Again, like I said, I'm bringing on Susan Bourassa. There she is. Good day to you, Susan. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Good. Thank you. I honestly, truly believe that the staging process is my favorite part of my job.
Well, it's the fun part.
It's the fun part. Oh my gosh. And I just get to watch the magic happen, which is it's amazing. So Susan, you are with Coast to Coast Interiors. If you can introduce yourself, kind of tell everyone a little bit about your background, who you are, and your company. We'll start with that.
Sure. So as you said, I'm Susan Bourassa. I have owned Coast to Coast Interiors for almost 10 years now. And I'm my husband's a retired Coast Guard. So we moved around a lot, had to set up a lot of houses over the years, and it was just kind of a natural fit for me. I actually have a marketing background, so it's the perfect merger of marketing and decorating and making any space work that we're in. I happen to have pretty much all military spouse crew. I think like-minded people just attract like minds, so we're really able to roll with the punches of real estate, all those schedule changes and everything that come up. We just kind of just roll right into the next thing and make it happen stress-free. We understand that moving is a very stressful time, so we try to be as compassionate as we can through the process. We say we provide compassionate concierge client care for anybody that we're with. It's stressful, whether it's a move that you're looking forward to or not. It's just something that we like to do and come in and be as stealth-like as possible and take care of everything. Kind of magical.
I love that catchphrase, compassionate care. Because you're right. A lot of times, especially the staging process, when the stagers are coming in and the clients are looking at this big truck that just pulled up in their driveway with all this furniture that's not theirs, and they're hauling it into the house, they're a little bit, concerned and panicked. And is something going to get damaged?
Mm-hmm.
And am I going to like this? And is this going to be the best for my sale? There's so many emotions going on that I truly, I'm connecting with that phrase because your team has shown, I have seen that compassionate care come
Mhm.
straight through your team directly onto my clients. And it's really a beautiful thing. And that's something you can't teach someone, to be compassionate. It's just, your team really does a fantastic job. So
Thank you.
thank you so much for that. Yeah. So you said you've owned Coast to Coast for close to 10 years.
Yeah, so when we came here, it was kind of our final stop in our military journey, and it was time for me to kind of do some older children, time for me to do something that I wanted to do. And I had looked into doing it a couple times, wasn't ever at a duty station quite long enough, came here, dabbled in real estate a little bit, and always came back to the staging part of it. I love the marketing and I love transforming spaces and then adding value to people's real estate. It's their biggest investment. If we can not leave money on the table for them and get it sold quickly, stress-free, that's a win-win.
Fantastic. So that kind of leads us right into our first point here is, why stage? When you're getting ready to sell your home, why should you consider staging? And I'm going to let Susan kind of take the lead on that, and then I'll add some information that I think as well.
Yeah, so, I always tell people you never know when you're competing with a new build. Even if you have a much older house, you could still attract somebody. It could be the price point. It could be that it's move-in ready. And it could be all the old growth of trees and things in the yard, school district. So, but you never know if there's a new build out there that there's a lot of flippers, renovated houses, and you need to be able to compete with those. So even if you can't, we encourage you to transform if you can repaint, change out light fixtures, things like that. But that's not always within budget. So then if you invest in home staging, that distracts from that. And that doesn't just distract from it, but it also shows people, potential buyers, how they can mix and match their furniture to work with it. So we'll come in and we kind of try to figure out who the ideal buyer is going to be, and kind of develop a marketing plan. Interior marketing is what we call it, an interior marketing plan from there, and try to target that market. And then they can see the room layout. If you don't have to be as stressed out about maybe scratches on the floor, because once they get emotionally attached, all of a sudden that scratch on the floor doesn't matter as much. But if it's an empty room, you're going to see the scratch more, and you don't feel quite as emotionally connected. And it's a lot easier to walk away. But once you linger in that property with the staging and start to really enjoy it, and maybe visualize your own things and how you would move things and tweak things a little bit, it's as good as sold.
And I didn't come from a background of staging or decorating, and it's certainly not my wheelhouse. However, I've truly seen, just like you're saying, I have seen that difference. Sometimes I'll go into a home and meet with sellers for the first time, and they'll be concerned that they have older, the older outlets. And should we change these out? And I'll talk to them, and because now I know, once we stage, nobody's eye is going to be looking and focusing on your older outlets. They're going to be looking at the whole room as a whole. They're going to look at the beautiful furniture, how the spread is, how the light comes in. Mm-hmm. So your point of staging being a distractor to things that may be older in a home or not, super updated is dead on. I mean, I've literally seen this. It is night and day difference. So I am the biggest proponent and cheerleader for staging. After seeing, 10 years of transformations, it truly is magical. So you don't have to get so, worried about updating all these different things, because once you stage, the whole house comes together beautifully. Which is amazing.
It's funny because even we'll go in sometimes and we're like, oh boy, this isn't going to have the impact that we thought it would. By the time we're leaving, we're like, I think I want to buy this place.
Yes.
And then we linger, and we kind of want to be there. And we're like, oh, we should like order some food, and we don't. But you get connected with it.
Yes, and you can make any space look charming or cozy, and just using the surroundings that you have. So let's talk a little bit about, because a lot of times people ask me, it sounds great and I'd love for my house to look like it does on HGTV, but what are the costs involved? What is kind of the investment that we may have for this? And then balance that out with the rewards you can get from the staging investment.
Yeah, so it is an investment, and that's really the way to look at it. A lot of times people are going into it, and you talk about staging, and it is a big financial time in your life. You're hoping to get a win from your sale of your real estate, but you're not sure what it is yet. That's still an unknown, and you're moving to a new place. You've had expenses there, and maybe you've had to update some things. But if you can leave room for staging, an investment in staging, and not just the financial investment, but the emotional investment in staging, you get the return. It sells quicker and it sells for higher. So we all know we're in the DMV here, and things are generally pretty hot, although we have our ups and downs too, and you just don't know what anomalies coming our way next, right? With interest rates or situations in the world. But at the same time, once you invest in that real estate, there's a return. It's generally a higher return. We see it than the unstaged properties. We see the unstaged properties right now have really been sitting this particular year, especially I think with the interest rates. Buyers they're paying more than ever for a property, and you want to feel like you're getting a showpiece. You want to feel like you want an Instagrammable house to show with your to share with your friends. Show them those pictures, and you want to feel like you're getting something more than just an empty property that might be a little dated or it might have some flaws. And staging does all that. So it brings more money. It attracts more buyers. The first thing it does is it brings those clicks and swipes on all the real estate sites. That's our first place we have to get them. We get them first in the real estate sites, and they start shopping for houses online. We want them to pick yours. We want yours to stand out. And we don't want it to look like all the other staged properties either. So we strive not only to stand out as a staged property, but to stand out from the other staged properties. And then you want them when they come in to fall in love with it, to feel it, to feel and to have the layout. So we stage it for the layout of the room, to share square footage. It's not always how you're going to live in the property. That's the difference between living and staging. And then next thing you know, they want to write an offer, and then they're emotionally attached. So their offer is going to be a little bit better than it might have if you had not staged.
Oh, 100%. And I do want to circle back and just touch on that, because I think every single person who sells their house would stage if they knew they're going to get back 3 times the amount of money it cost to stage, or 5 or 10 times. I mean, truly, I have seen this. This is the one spot where you cannot lose. You cannot lose by staging. I would guarantee you, if your staging plan, let's say it cost $4,000, you're going to get back at least double that, if not triple or quadruple. 100%. And I can't really say that for anything else. There are so many studies out there. They're called cost to value studies that show if I redo my entire kitchen and it costs $70,000, how much will I get back when I sell? And if I look down the column of that study, every single example they have is under 100% of the value. No study can guarantee that you're going to get back over the amount you spend on something. But staging, you do. You 100% do. It's just one of those things. And in our market in Northern Virginia, I had heard this once and it really resonated with me. Someone said the cost of staging is 99.9% of the time always less than the first price drop.
Absolutely.
So if we're marketing, this is the average house is $500,000 to $700,000 here. If you're priced incorrectly and you have to drop your price, you're at least usually dropping $25,000. Staging is nowhere near that amount in a $500,000 to $700,000 house. So you're better off, right? You're better off investing $5,000 to $7,000 up front and getting an additional 25 over list price than having to come down 25. And now when you drop price, you're signaling to the market, hey, no one's been interested. Bring me your lowball offer. Bring me all your contingencies because I'm a sitting duck. And that is the worst place you want to be as a seller. So
there's the carrying costs. If you're on the market longer, you have the carrying costs of still paying that mortgage. So the sooner
also,
you can.
To your point, Susan, in our market in Northern Virginia, you're not only up against new builds that stage, but many sellers do invest in staging. So you're competing against them. And when your house hits the market, you have to remember buyers are getting a ping on their cell phone or their email, right? It's all electronic. They're looking at the house and they're going through the pictures this fast. And if you don't catch their attention online, they're done. They delete onto the next listing. So you have a couple seconds, right, in our fast-paced world to grab their attention. So those photos, if they're vacant or they're staged, is going to make a tremendous difference. So if you have 10 people come to your house versus 2, your chances of your higher price point are always increased by increased competition. And that's what staging does. It is literally the most magical, most important thing you can do for any home. I truly believe that. You think
I
I'm a
think it
stager?
used to be 11 seconds when I started. Well, you can join us. I would think it was like 11 seconds about 10 years ago, is how much you had till they decided if they wanted to buy the house. It's down to 2 now because they're already deciding before they're there.
It's down. Yeah. Because everything's just so much more fast paced in our world now. People think faster, they make decisions faster, they're moving faster. So you really need to captivate that audience. So definitely invest in staging. It will pay back multiples. It'll make your life easier as a seller. It will make your process less stressful. You'll be more excited. The buyers will be more excited. That's the other thing. If the buyers write on a house and they're not sure and they get it, but there was no competition, they may keep looking and void that contract. But if they have to fight for the house and there were multiple offers and it was very exciting when they went in, they emotionally connected, they're more likely to stick with it and be excited and get through to that settlement table. So your house isn't sold till closing is done.
Remember this, your property is the day you decide to sell, your property is no longer yours and it's a product for sale. And then you let go and then we come in and it's not going to necessarily be how even we would live in it, but there's a process and a formula to it that we kind of install. And then that's how it goes. We go ahead and install and work the magic.
Yeah. Let's talk about the actual process. How does it all unfold? What's the behind the scenes magic? What can people expect if they're still living in the home? Tell me a little bit about how the process goes.
Yeah, so we kind of have 2 different ways we work. It depends on whether, honestly, we really kind of are, like I said, we're kind of concierge and we kind of go through any way that we can help that's very specific to each client. But there's generally vacant properties for sale and there's generally the occupied. So obviously the vacant, the client moves out. That's not always a luxury that everybody has. That's the most ideal way to sell a home because we're removing the seller, everything about that seller basically from the home, which helps that house compete better with the new builds. So as long as the more you have the seller removed, the less curiosity you have of the buyer has about who's the buyer. It's a distraction when you start seeing shampoos and personal things in the house. You start to guess who the buyer is. Who the seller is versus you get distracted from the house. So vacant's ideal. That's when we kind of come in. We usually start with you if you have any, we'll ask Elizabeth, do you have any prior listing photos of the house? And then we kind of provide the proposal moving forward, deciding on which rooms we want to do and kind of come to that decision of what plan is going to be in place. And then we go preview it in person. And then that's when we start thinking about scale, colors, what colors the walls are, and anything, if we need to lighten up a space, if we need to add some pizzazz or make it a little more interesting if it's just kind of generic. And then there's the occupied properties. So an occupied property is a little bit different. That's the one where we're going to go in and we're going to start usually with a consultation and we're going to provide recommendations to the seller because the seller needs to do a few things. There's a little bit of homework usually involved unless they have very, very minimal amounts of things. You might ask you to take down your artwork so we can bring some supplemental items there, remove pillows. If you're going to get rid of anything before the move, this is the time to do it. Clean out those spaces. We give those recommendations, and then anything to while they're living there, like keep the toilet seat down. Just because it's down when we're there does not mean it's going to be down later. So we have these notes to help you while you're living in your property. Then we can come in and do supplemental staging. Our supplemental staging can include furniture. Yes, we do do rent to people who are still living in their houses. Like if you have an older couch, you're not planning on moving it, let's remove it if it's making the house look kind of dated. Freshen it up, and we'll kind of bring those pieces in and have a marketing plan. And the big thing we really want to do is we want it to feel cohesive. We want it to tell a story. Like you open the door and it has the same kind of flow going throughout. The colors are kind of similar. The vibe is similar. We just don't want it to feel like you just walked into a whole nother room. Like the buyer's room might feel different than what we bring in. I mean, the seller's room might feel different. So we need to kind of edit that a little bit and make it feel more like what we're bringing in to make it kind of merge together. So then that's the process. So then we show up on moving day. Either way, we're showing up usually with a truck full of items. If it's occupied, we can go ahead and move some of the seller's things around, and sometimes we're moving things to different rooms. And we do an install in a couple of hours, and then photos usually happen next, and then the offers start rolling in.
Yep. So to all the sellers out there, if you are going to do a staging, the stagers usually do ask that you vacate the home when they're in there, when they're moving things around. Right, Susan? It's much easier for you guys to move quicker. So that is the practice. Okay. So what you would expect on staging day is, let's say the stagers are going to come around 10 a.m. Usually 9:30, 10 a.m. is the arrival time. You're going to see a big truck pulling up into the driveway. You're going to be asked to vacate at that time, go have breakfast, go to the mall, go just get out of the house, let them have the house. They know what they're doing. They are professionals. They're not going to nick the walls. They're not going to destroy anything. You have to trust the process. Step out of the way, let the stagers come in. Like she said, there's going to be items, potentially 2 to 6 people are going to be on the staging team that day. Some people will be inside relocating furniture that's already there. Others are bringing new items in from the truck. I mean, it's a bit chaotic. It's a bit hectic. But that's the magic, right? That's the behind the scenes
organized chaos.
Nobody sees. So you bring the chaos, and then a couple hours later, right? You're usually done 2 to 3, maybe if it's a full house, a couple hours. The stagers will let us know when they're done, and then you can come back and see the house. So
thinking of it as your own HGTV show, you get to walk in for the grand reveal.
Yes. And what's funny is sometimes I've heard clients say, I don't like the furniture, or I don't, this isn't my thing, but it's not your thing. That's the whole point, is we're trying to appeal to the broadest batch of buyers possible, not the couple people that may think exactly the way you do. So trust the process. 99% of the time people are blown away and love it. But I have had a couple clients say, this was way early in my career. One of the first stages I did, it was a small townhouse in Burke, and we did the staging, and then the sellers came back, and the wife hated it. She was upset. No one's going to buy this house. This looks terrible. I would never put this furniture in my house. Well, we had her 8 offers in the first weekend. And the offer that won asked if they could buy everything that was there. They loved it so much. They wanted to buy all the staging. She couldn't believe it. So you have to trust the process. It's not always about what you think. And also, to Susan's point, when she talked about a cohesive story, and I've seen this kind of battle before during the staging consultation. So when the stager originally meets with the seller, and I'm usually there as well, sometimes the stager may say, or someone on your team may say, we're probably going to recommend you remove this piece of art. And the seller goes, well, that's beautiful. And, it's framed nicely and it goes on the wall. And then the stager may say, yes, but we need a cohesive feeling throughout the house. This one picture in this one room it's not going to flow with what we bring in. So just as a seller, try to just get out of your own way, listen to what's being proposed, trust the process. These are professionals that know how to stage. They know how to make your home a showcase item that sparkles on the market and not just something that you prefer. So just trust the process. That's what I'm going to say.
I'm looking at getting t-shirts made with that on it, actually. Trust the process.
Yeah. I should get those. So let's dip into some before and after pictures and some success stories that we can actually show so people can get a better idea of what we're talking about. Okay. So this particular property, this first photo, we're really showing the difference in paint on this one and a couple accessories. Outside of the photo on the left being a touch blurry, you can kind of see the difference that the green walls have versus the lighter walls. The ceiling, see how shiny it is on the photo on the left? We have the ceiling painted as well. And then you can see the change out of the rug and the accessories. So Susan, you want to make some comments on this one?
Yeah, so first of all, this is obviously an occupied. We didn't bring in this furniture, but we did some supplemental. And this was a seller who wasn't able to remove everything. So we worked as best we could with what we had there. And we did brighten up the room by changing out the area rug there. That makes a huge difference. And then the lighter wall color, the result really, it looks like a bigger room. Not just does it look lighter and brighter, but it also looks bigger. Looks a little wider. And then we changed out some of the accessories on that. That gives a little bit of a lifestyle appeal when we change out things like accessories on that tray there. You want a little bit of home goods in there. What can I say? We all walk through there and love things, so you want to incorporate that and clean off the mantle. We often don't put anything on a mantle. And like I know a lot of times when I have new stagers working with me, they're like, "Oh, don't we want to decorate the mantle?" I'm like, just let it do its thing. We're not selling the items on the mantle. We're selling the mantle, so let's let it do its thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even catch that, but just looking at these quickly, I definitely prefer the picture on the right. So if I'm swiping really fast looking at this house online, this one's going to catch my attention. The one on the left may seem dark, small, outdated a little bit cluttered, like you said, with the mantle. You've got the shape, all the shapes that are silhouetted out because of the items on the mantle. Every little thing kind of can make a difference. So this is a very, very slight change, but I want to ramp up and we're going to show 4 examples. This is, kind of baseline what you can kind of do with mostly paints.
And the goal on this one, on that one too, was that a buyer should be able to can start to just visualize their own sofa there. Like they might say, well, we're not going to use, I could see our sofa in here now that you painted the walls, and now they're visualizing it. So neutral it out and allow them to move in mentally.
Perfect. Okay. Now, this is the primary bedroom in a home. And once in a while, I see this where on the left, the paint color on the walls is carried up through onto the ceiling and kind of encompasses the whole room, which can, feel very cozy and homey when you're living in it. But when we photograph, when we look through the lens of the camera, right, look through the eye of the camera, you can kind of see the difference that it makes when we lighten up the room with the photo on the right.
Yep. So you lightened it up. Again, it feels a little bit bigger. It doesn't feel as heavy. It doesn't feel dated. It feels more like a hotel vibe. Feels like something that everyone can visualize what they want. And, which one do you want to stay in? Even if you're picking an Airbnb, which room would you stay in?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even just the bedding, the colors, the fabrics that are used, and then switching out the mirror on the wall for actually just the headboard and then the painting that went up on the staged piece. I mean, this particular room to me, when I saw it in person, when it was painted, just looked so much bigger and lighter. And it really comes across online. And again, just flipping this one room may have brought in an extra 4 to 10 buyers to see this house and potentially earn the seller another $20,000. Because now we possibly have multiple offers and now people are pushing up their price point just to win the property. So
and if you just looked at a new build, if you were house hunting and you just happen to go through a new build or a renovated renovated house, and you went through the one on the left of all the yellow and the darker, bedding, you're definitely going to feel it more. You're going to feel that that's an older home versus going into the whiter and lighter vibe in the headboard. Now it's not as off from that new build or renovated property that you were at.
Absolutely amazing. Okay. Let's go on to the next example. I mean, this is a
There
wow,
you go.
right? This is an absolute wow. Susan, tell us about this one here.
So this is what we can do when you are able to move out of your property. So this is the difference between living and staging. My office looks like the one on the left,
Right.
but I'm not going to sell my office anytime soon because I'm so busy working for Elizabeth that I don't have time to work in my own office. But hey, so if I go to sell, I am going to need to remove everything and have it staged. So, this one, all the thought process, it is a lighter paint color, if you can see that. It's we have some lighter furniture in there, and of course, removal of all the, we don't like to say clutter, but it is, it usable. Even if you're living in your property, if you can put away the printers and the electronics as much as possible, and it's just not something that you would see. I would say like a magazine photo,
Right.
and you wouldn't see it in a model home. So if you're not going to see those items in a magazine, in the old magazine photos, I don't know how many people are looking at magazines anymore, but I sure do love them myself. But yeah, so you want to remove those items. Go ahead and remove anything you wouldn't see, the boxes of tissues, anything personal. And then the glass top on the desk is a much lighter feel. It's actually a very small office. And they had a whole lot in there, but now you can't even tell what room that is when you walk by it. But now you know it's the office, and I want to work in that one on the right, one on the left. I don't even want to walk into it.
And sadly, I sometimes see photos like the one on the left when I'm looking at houses. I mean, this is not the way to showcase and get top dollar on your house. You're just throwing the listing up there and seeing what happens. Now, even the pattern on the rug on the left, is that a rug or a carpet? Like, what happened with this room?
Yep. So that was the rug.
Okay.
Yep, there was a rug in there. So we also we want to show off your flooring. So we needed to show off your beautiful cherry wood floors. We put a little rug in there to kind of cozy it up. Even the artwork's kind of light in nature. We added additional lighting back on the cabinet. We have white furniture in there too, lighter than the wood, and it just looks more like something you would see. It's an Instagrammable photo versus the one on the left.
Yes.
So
this is something you'd be excited to show your friends. Be like, look at this house I'm writing on, or look at this house I'm buying, versus the picture on the left. Like, look at this office I'm getting. It creates that excitement and that attachment, like you were talking about earlier. And then even just like the pattern on the floor, on the picture on the left, it just creates more busyness, more distraction, more chaos. It looks like a room that you're scared to go into. Like you're going to be stressed out and anxious in this room. And, there's just so much going on versus the room on the right. And I like how you're pointing out too, the tips of, using the glass desk makes the room appear just bigger and lighter, and because you can see through it, right? And you can see through the glass in the furniture you put, you can see through the lamps, the clock, you can see through it. There's all these little tricks that you guys have that aren't so apparent on the surface, but it all just ties together very, very nicely.
And sometimes you don't want the glass. There's times that there's a glass coffee table, and we would rather have something that really grounds the room when it's a really big space. So yeah, it's all about making it marketable and how it's going to photo.
Yes, all about the photos. Okay, and we have one more here. Now, where was this property at?
So this is a luxury condo in Tyson's, and it's actually overlooking Tyson's there. And as you see, this is a complete room change. You can't really tell on the picture on the left, but there wasn't space to put a nightstand on both sides of the bed. So it's the primary bedroom. If you're having a luxury condo, you want to be able to have both people to have a nightstand on both sides of the bed. So we did switch it to the window side. And we bought that headboard. It's a more updated, modern headboard with a wood frame. And then you have, the colors. You can see how the colors, cherry wood floors aren't going to be for everyone, but this made it all just pull together.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And I mean, again, to me, this is such a huge, this is a $30,000 difference in my sale point.
That's
For
what
my
I
client.
say sometimes.
I mean,
I think you hit it, that one dead on, because I think when we left this property, I said to my stagers, we just added $30,000 to this listing.
easy. And
Mhm.
so many times the picture on the left, this is the room when I first meet with sellers, this is the room I'm walking into. And, they're like, okay, well, here's the bedroom. We'll just they're thinking, we'll just, make the bed really nice and, put our clothes away. But
You
if
also don't want to walk
you-
into that bed.
yeah,
It's right there. That this is where you walk, where that picture was taken is where you walk into the room. So if you walk in, you're like, ooh, bed, it instantly feels small and crowded,
feels
as
small.
opposed to moving it to the opposite wall, just like the other picture we saw. Now you're walking into space.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel like, ooh, I have so much space.
I love your point too about the floors, because the rug that was selected along with the artwork, along with the pillows you used, I mean, everything blends. There's that cohesive statement we were talking about earlier where you can see everything works together. There may have been nothing wrong with the paintings or the photos they had on the wall, but the fact that, like you're seeing here on the right, I mean, the artwork and the rug they go together. Two birds with a feather. They go together.
And the lighter furniture
It
again,
looks
kind of
so
like
good. Yeah.
the lighter furniture in front of that window. We didn't want to have a real big, massive headboard. So we went
Yes.
with the lower option, which happens to be very in style right now. And then we picked a lighter nightstand instead of something heavier with drawers, which we might do for a very big colonial to fill that space. This one, we kept it more airy because, let's face it, it's going to be all about that view.
Awesome. Totally magical. 100% worth it. If you're selling, stage. If you're selling, stage. If you're selling, stage. That's the motto of today.
And call a professional, because it's hard to remove yourself
Yes.
from it. Sometimes people think, oh, I watch HGTV, I can do this. I will tell you, stagers call other stagers to stage their home because you don't
yeah.
see it the same.
Yeah. I mean, even truly, I've been watching staging transformations for over 10 years, and I would never trust myself to do it. And I'll tell people I'm okay at it, but I'm not the best. We need a actual staging team. And the one time I was talking to one of your associates and I said, how does the process go once you see a house? She goes, well, we go back. And she said, like 6 or 7 of us sit around a table and we all throw out ideas and we pull out our color palettes and we do. And I was like, wow. I mean, you guys like study each house and come up with the best plan. You're not just throwing something together. I mean, it's truly remarkable. This is the number one thing you should do when you are selling. Spend the money. You will get it back more than double. And everything's just going to go easier. It's just the way it is. So Susan, any last remarks you would like to say? Please let people know how to get in touch with you if they're interested in connecting with you directly.
So any way you need us, I mean, you can call us and we can talk more about the process and how we can help you. And we do more than staging real estate for sale. That's our prime thing that we love to do. I love the marketing aspect of it. But we also do vacation homes because that's another form of marketing property for rent, right? So they want to bring in those renters as well. We design for a living. We do pretty much anything asked of us. We'll give it a try if we think we can pull it off. If not, we'll refer out. We have a lot of associates in the area, and we travel. So wherever you need us, we'll be there.
Well, thank you again for your time this morning, Susan. We really appreciate you having you on the show. And I look forward to doing our next stage. So let's keep it going. Yeah.
I'm sure it's right around the corner. It always is.
Absolutely. And thank you everyone out there for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed our episode on staging. If you have before and after pictures you want to send in, if you had a house staged, I would love to see them. If you have questions on staging, please reach out. And also, if anyone's watching that's not in the Northern Virginia area, if you need a good real estate agent in your neck of the woods, please give me a call. I will vet and connect you with top professionals in your area. So you can interview 2 or 3 people and make sure you're comfortable with who you're moving forward with, someone that's going to give you good, solid advice. It's super important. This is one of your biggest assets you will ever have in your life, and it's important you have professionals surrounding you to help you with the process. So you can give us a call at 703-829-LIST or go to our website, listwithelizabeth.com. Comment, subscribe, like, do all that good stuff. Let's keep this show going. And again, thank you for tuning in, and I will say goodbye until the next episode.
When you're ready to sell your home,